are one of the 60% of Americans who think we pay too much in taxes, you will want to check this out. We give you the #1 tip for saving money on your taxes for next year. Hey there, I'm Brittany Flammer. I'm a certified financial coach and the creator of Financial Fitness. Now, I know tax planning is a boring topic for most people, but it can save you so much money when it comes to taxes. Today, I am interviewing Jeff Badu, a CPA and the founder of Badu Tax Services. He is going to share the #1 tip to save money as an individual on taxes, as well as some tips and tools to help you do it. So let's just jump right into it. I know most people, April 15th, they're just relieved to have their taxes done for this past year. And they don't even want to start thinking about taxes next year until they start getting forms in the mail, and they have to think about it. But I know that that's not the best thing to do. We should be preparing now for next year's taxes to make them easier. So what are some tips that you have for individuals to start planning for their taxes that they can implement today?
So in general, the thing about taxes is that a lot of people think that taxes are only January through April or during the tax season. But taxes is a year-round thing in that you want to start planning as soon as possible. There's so many things that we can do throughout the year, and you want to do this stuff now, before the tax season comes, so that by the time tax season comes, it's not this stressful, dreadful process of getting your documents together and thinking you'll be paying taxes. Number one, you may not pay any taxes. And number two, if you do owe any taxes, you probably would have already known how much you would need to pay so that you're prepared for it. And all it is submitting the final documents to your tax professional so that they can prepare your tax return by the respective tax filing deadlines.
Like I myself, I'm a small business owner, and so I keep really good track of my receipts and records. But what about for individuals that are just like W-2 employees? Is there anything that they should be doing to prepare to plan for taxes?
What you can do is you can start a small business, a side hustle, start writing off business expenses through that, because if it's just the W-2, there's very limited things that you can do in accordance with the tax code to save you money on taxes. The true tax code, the true person that benefits from the tax code is going to be the business owner. And it doesn't necessarily mean the size of the business. It can be the smallest of the business that counts as well. Something very, very small. This can be doing an Amazon third-party retailer business. This could be going out to do Uber, DoorDash, even if it's an hour a day, 2 hours a day. This could be doing taxes on the side if that's something you aspire to do, right? This could be pretty much anything. Nowadays, you can start a small business for anything. Doesn't have to be anything big, relatively small, where you're committing anywhere between 2 to 5 hours a week on it, or plus, right? 2 to 5. We know with small businesses, even the smallest of businesses, there's more time that you have to spend into it. So something really, really small. The reason why I emphasize small is because I don't want it to feel like it's a burden, something extra, another task that you have to do. This is something fun, something you enjoy doing, and you're leveraging it in the form of a small business. You form an LLC, a limited liability company, and what this allows you to do is it allows you to legitimize yourself, start building business credit, which is something you'll need most likely later down the road, and allows you to create what we call a tax shelter. So all the write-offs that we talked about, and I know we'll probably get more into that topic, but basically the write-offs and everything will shield it through we'll funnel it through the LLC, so that now instead of going out to get food or basically buying lunch with your personal credit card, you're now buying it with a business credit card, right? And you're utilizing software such as QuickBooks to track your income and expenses throughout the year. So basically, my advice to anybody who's a W-2 employee, let's say you aspire to be that status for the long term, then you start a small business, you form an LLC, you get a business checking account, a business credit card account, you set up a QuickBooks account for your tracking of your income and expenses, and then you start making money in your business on the side. But everything that you do, your laptop, your cell phone, everything can be paid by that business. And now all of a sudden you can use any losses in your business on paper Typically businesses have a net profit, but in this case, you may have a net loss since it's a small business. You can use that net loss, let's say it's $50,000, and offset your W-2 income, let's say $200,000. So that instead of paying taxes on 200,000, you're paying taxes on 150,000.
So let's, hypothetically speaking, I'm a W-2 employee. I want to take advantage of some benefits. You mentioned an LLC. What's like the bare minimum I would have to do to start a business? If maybe I have a hobby I want to turn into a side hustle, what's like the bare minimum I would need to be considered a small business to get the tax advantages?
Brittany, technically speaking, it's only one transaction, one business transaction. So you sell lemonade to one person. Of course, you want to do a bit more than that. But it's let's say you're at December 31st, you're just now watching this on December 31st. Yes, this can work for you, right? You start the business December 31st. You get your $1 or your one transaction in income. You have your LLC going. Hopefully you expedited by that time, right? Of course, we don't want to put ourselves in a time crunch like this, but I'm just saying hypothetically, what you're allowed to do is retroactively go back to January 1st of the year and claim all of those business expenses because you're probably working your way towards that business. And so what we have is now a startup expense scenario where all the expenses that you had before you started the business are considered startup expenses. And they're now, since you now are in business, those are now legitimate expenses of the business. So it's only one transaction that's required, preferably with a third party, not like a family member, somebody who's not related to you, right? It could be a friend, that's fine, but just one transaction, and that will entitle you to leveraging the expenses of that business now.
It doesn't have to be huge. That's great. Does it have to be like, do I have to get an actual LLC and a business checking account and keep everything completely separate? I know those are good practices, but is it like required?
Question, Brittany. It's not absolutely required, but as with anything, we want to start getting into good habits, right? Habits are everything in life. And so with that being said, yeah, this could be a sole proprietorship. That's fine. You have an Uber business. You didn't set up an LLC. You didn't know any of that stuff, or you chose not to set it up. That's fine. You can still claim your car, your clothing and all that stuff on your taxes. That's fine. I would say that's okay maybe for just 1 year. And then the next year, when you really get into some deeper tax planning, then we'll give you the hookup and say, form the LLC, right? We'll give you a checklist, LLC, business checking account, business credit card account, QuickBooks account, and let's pay everything through your business account instead of your personal account moving forward.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is don't let those things stop you from doing it. Get started, but if you can start correctly from the beginning, it's easier. But don't let that stop you. If that's a hurdle you're afraid of or don't know how to handle, just get started. So I've heard you mention business checking and savings account, QuickBooks. Are there any tools, say I'm going to start something on the side, are there any tools you recommend or tips you have for getting started that will help with taxes next year?
Yeah, so the first thing is have a tax professional in your corner. It goes without saying that the tax code is the most complicated thing on the planet, according to Albert Einstein, one of the most genius individuals on the planet. He said himself, the most complicated thing on the planet, or he said the income tax is the most complicated thing on the planet. So when such a mathematician, such a genius individual, such a brainiac says something like that, I mean, you probably want to pay attention to it. So my advice is never go at it alone, right? In that you can always, it's not that you have to pay somebody thousands and thousands of dollars to hold your hand every single time, a full-time account or anything like that. I'm just talking simply having somebody that you can at least reach out to for questions, maybe an ad hoc person, somebody who's just there who can assist you, maybe when you're starting off. And then as you grow and scale, then you have somebody that's more dedicated to your situation. So have the right person in your corner, educate yourself. I personally have a website, jeffbadu.com, jeffbadu.com. It has a ton of tax educational resources on there. So educate yourself. have the person in your corner, but know what that person is doing, because ignorance is not an excuse nowadays, especially not nowadays. There's so much that's going on in the world, so much noise, so many changes, that ignorance is simply not the answer anymore. It is not, oh, I'll just ignore it. You can't really ignore things anymore, because it can truly affect you, and it can affect you very, very quickly. And so stay educated, get some level of education when it comes to taxes. Number two is, have a professional in your corner. And then, yeah, there's the other more technical steps, getting the LLC. So forming a limited liability company, which is something we can assist you with if you need help with that. Getting a business checking account at your favorite bank, whatever bank that is, let's say, Chase, whatever the case may be. And getting a business credit card. I think the credit card is important too. And that can be at the same bank that you bank at, or you got the business checking account, or it could be a different one. I like credit cards because they give you points. You can, you can basically build business credit over time. And then it's a nice way to keep things separate, where you got all your income coming into your business checking account, and then your expenses flowing out of your business credit card account. And so those are some things that you can do. And then when it comes to tax write-offs, let me just give you a few real quick. And so, going to trips where you're discussing business, or you checking emails or anything like that, you go to the Bahamas and you start talking business, whether it's your spouse or whoever it is that you bring with you, or you go solo, that entire trip can now become a business tax deduction if you declare it as what we call a board meeting, right? A board meeting that has, you pretty much just put on paper what you discuss, all the business things you did during the trip. That can be a tax deduction. Your car, driving to and from different locations. By the way, when you have a home office, that is a business location. And so with that being said, when you have a car and you're conducting business, you're talking business, you're moving around, and you're doing business related stuff, that car, the cost of the car can be claimed as a tax deduction, including the things that you spend money on the car. If you got kids that are between 7 through 17, you can hire them in your business, pay them a compensation of up to $13,000 per year, and all of a sudden you write it off as a business expense, and then they don't have to pay any income taxes on that money. All right. Going out to get food and you're talking business, you're discussing business. Keep in mind the key theme around everything I'm saying is business, right? Keep it business, keep it business, keep it business, meaning you're doing something that's helping your business in some way, shape, or form. All
I
right.
do have to put a plug in. Like my husband and I are pretty cheap DIY people. And it's true. And we have done, like, I've filed our taxes ourselves. I've done the software, and it's always worked out. It's been fine. But going with a professional tax advisor has saved us so much more money than it costs. So it's totally worth it to me, because it saves so much more money. And I have learned, and there's something really reassuring about working with someone that for sure, like, I think I know what I'm doing, but that a fit like really knows what they're doing. And so I've had a really good experience, and it's to me well worth the cost, because the accountant will save you so much more money, and knows all of those rules, those complicated rules that I don't know. So my little plug for that. So what I'm hearing is the best thing to save for taxes next year is to start a business, a side hustle, something, and keep track of all of your records for next year's taxes, and get an accountant, go to your website, find someone to help with filing taxes and answer all those questions and get you set up. Any other tips you recommend?
Right? They say 80% of success is showing up, 20% is showing out, 20% is the action behind it. And so for you to take action after this, that's what truly counts. So I encourage you, right? Visit the website, call into the phone line. We're more than happy to assist you. We're year round, 365 days a year, 24/7 firm, right? At Badu Tax Services. I definitely would love to work with you. Love helping people. It's truly something that we love doing. So in our firm, Badu Tax Services, we offer a service known as tax planning, for example. And that is where we're meeting with you throughout the year, going over different tax strategies with you, looking at your goals, what you're looking to achieve for the year, financially, tax-wise, and everything like that. And then we create and tailor a tax plan for you.
Thanks so much for watching. Links to his website as well as the phone number will be in the description box in the comments down below. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to them, leave them in the comments, and I will pass them on. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next video.